We can start here and work our way down. I mean, whatever you'd like.
Well, thanks. Wow, you know, I was feeling kind of bummed out, but seeing you guys and getting that kind of energy, it's great. So good to see everybody. Yeah, you look great.
So just as a quick reminder, you know the panel rules. So no cameras, no video recording, no live streaming, no photos until the panel is done. Okay, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, Mr. Hudson, the only appropriate question I can begin with. Do you believe in UFOs, astral projection, mental telepathy, ESP, clairvoyance, spirit photography, telekinetic movement, full transparent medium, the Loch Ness Monster, and the theory of Atlantis?
Well, if there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say. That has been my motto for life.
There it is. See, you are absolutely right. We do have a microphone in the center, so if you have a question for Mr. Hudson, please feel free to line up. I will definitely get to you, I promise. So I'd like to start off just a little bit earlier than some of those major film roles that we know, and just bring up the fact that as an English teacher, I love the fact that in your early years, you were a writer.
Yeah, I thought of myself as, I thought that was going to be my career path, and I went to college, Wayne State, then I got a scholarship to Yale in the playwriting program. And, but writing is a lot of work. And, you know, I've never liked a lot of work, you know, and acting, I joined a theater group when I first went to Detroit, not long after high school. And sometimes we were a local community group where and sometimes the actors wouldn't show up, and so you had to step in for them. You had to do a little bit of everything. And the acting was always just sort of fun and didn't really, it was a different kind of, you know, energy, and you didn't have to think a lot about it. You just sort of, you know, it's just different. Writing is sitting alone, trying to pull something, you know, it's just, it's, and when I went to Los Angeles, I had gotten married right out of high school. I had 2 small sons, and the writing, you would go into meetings and they'd discuss it, and then they'd have you come back, and you know, months would go by and you hadn't gotten paid. And acting is immediate. So you go in a room, and if you convince them you write for the part, you get paid. I mean, it's you know, even if they decided not to do the movie, they had to pay you because they sort of locked you up. So acting was a way to pay the bills, like right now. And I put writing off until I got older. And now I'm older, and I'm like, man, that's a lot of work. You know, I can go to a convention and, you know, it's like, yeah, so it's a long answer to
No, it's a great answer. We love hearing it. Why don't you get started? Tell us your name, please.
Hi, my name is Sean.
Hey,
I
Sean.
just want to thank you for coming and spending time with us here today. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
More recently, you had a little resurgence on the internet from your Men's Fitness, I believe it was, when they did a profile with you, and you know, you keeping yourself in shape. So congratulations on that.
Well,
and
thank
from MCU castings, whenever I see like things on the internet, I always suggest you for the characters Blue Marvel. I think that would be awesome casting for you. But
oh, thank you.
If there was a fan fictional character that they would bring into the screen, what character would you want to play? Like if you could have done anything, whether that be throughout your career or now, what character would that have been?
Geez, I really don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. You know, I'm an actor, so I'm so used to people bringing something to me as opposed to me, sort of. But yeah, I'm not quite, you know, sure. You know, the Men's Fitness thing was interesting. They, I haven't really changed much physically over the course of my career. And I've never really focused on the physicality, you know, I play the characters. And then I was in New York in this, after Frozen Empire. We're doing a press junket, and me and Paul Rudd were taking publicity photos together. And he had just recently been named the sexiest man in the... And so, for whatever reason, we took I took my jacket off, and so that photo sort of went viral. And so they came out to my house, and they wanted to see what I eat. And so there was this big interest, you know, and I'm like, really? Because I've been the same all these years, and so, and that's kind of fun. But yeah, I'm not quite sure how to answer the question though. I apologize.
No, it's fine. Thank you for your time. Also, my brother and I love you in The Crow. That's always the movie that
Thank you.
So thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, The Crow was it was one of those films that's part of my filmography that I'm thankful for having had the opportunity to do it, and yet with all the tragedy around it, it's sort of. It's one of those. It's the movie that is so difficult for me to kind of put into a certain place because it breaks my heart on one hand, and on the other hand, I'm happy that we did something I think Brandon would have been happy with. So
yeah, it touched a lot of people. We still love it to this day.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey.
Hello.
Your name, please?
My name is Brian. Now, the four original cast, you came in halfway through the film, but throughout the course of all the films and video games, you've become the most successful within the franchise, becoming basically the owner of the entire franchise. So how does it feel from coming in halfway through a film with very little backstory really written or given in the films to being, I guess now, a multi-millionaire with your own global company?
Yeah, well, the original movie, Winston did have a backstory. Winston came in very early in the film, I think page 6 or something, right in the very beginning when they left the university, he joined the team. And then for whatever reason, right before we started shooting, they cut the character down. And so Winston came in on page 68 or something, like more than halfway through the movie, which always sort of been a kind of sticking point for me. But of course now I look back on the film and it's sort of the perfect film the way it is, but it didn't feel that way, to be honest. So when they asked to revive it, and with a new group of people, I just felt it was very important, and Jason Reitman agreed that I didn't want to see Winston coming back looking for a job. You know what I mean? It's been 40 years, for God's sake, so, and yet I do have some friends who are still looking for a job, so it's not, but I just felt that he needed to sort of grow, and Jason agreed with it, and so they gave him a chance to sort of develop, and Winston, one of those guys who you're not sure what's going to happen in life. I think when I was started acting, it was one of those things where nobody would know if I'd still be around, but 60 years later, I'm still smiling, and so yeah, but that's
Thank you very much.
and I'm glad to see that kind of development in the character.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And Winston's got some amazing lines. You've got, that's a big Twinkie. You've got, of course I start with that one. You say, when someone asks if you're a god, you say, yes. You bring to raise attention as you're driving back over the bridge. If it has ever occurred to you that the reason we have been so busy is because the dead have been rising from the grave.
Yeah, that's true.
Not to mention the final line of the movie, right? I love this town.
Yeah.
And that's just the first film. In the second film, you stand up for New York. Winston is a New York City guy.
Right.
He loves this town. Were all of those lines in the script, or did you develop those from the character?
Well, I've seen shit that'll turn you white.
That's not for me to say.
but I think that's really a testament to the guys, because when I came, these guys had worked together on Saturday Night Live. They knew each other. They had done movies together. Bill Murray, I think, they had already broken out in film, so they were already big stars, and so I had been acting for, I don't know, a lot of years before I even did the Ghostbusters, but the studio was really not as welcoming, but the guys were. And so when we do a scene, it was the guys who would say, wait a minute, Ernie's not saying anything, so let's make sure he's included. So a lot of those lines probably could have gone to somebody else, but they were kind enough to make sure that I was always included. With the last line, I love this town, basically we sort of went and pulled them out of the dogs that had, and have all this stuff on, and that was sort of the end of it. But I think, yeah, they were, and I tend to be a little bit like, hey, I'm here, but you don't want to force yourself into a situation. And I think Danny was saying, well, wait a minute, no, maybe it was Bill. Say, well, wait a minute, why Ernie's not saying anything? And so, well, let's. And I think Danny came up with "I Love This Town." So that moment was kind of created, but it was them sort of willing to share, and now, yeah, a lot of the lines I didn't think would be. You never know in a film what's going to register, and a lot of them now, yeah, I realized they were, but that was really the guys' willingness to be inclusive, because the studio was not. The studio really sort of went out of its way to make sure that I wasn't included, so when it came to the posters, when it came to the PR, when it came to a lot of stuff. But the guys were really, and that's why I really consider them really all very, very, special people in my life. Bill Murray is the only actor I think I've ever worked with who, when they tried to get him to do another movie, remember it was about 20 years before we came back with another movie after the second movie. But Bill just basically said, if Ernie Hudson's not in it, I'm not doing it. And, there are not many people who sort of stand up for you. And that was just very, very special to me. So, yeah, so I just, I love all the guys. They've been very, very supportive.
Yeah. You mentioned that you make a film, you don't necessarily know what's going to happen after the fact. So Ghostbusters comes out, June 1984. Huge success. So
Right.
then when you come back to do, in 1989, Ghostbusters 2, what was it like in the streets of New York filming it? The first time you hear these stories of some of the crowds that eventually started building. What was
Right.
it like filming the second time, now that it was such of a juggernaut of a film?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was crazy. Shooting in New York, people would just, be driving down the street and see Bill Murray or, us in the jumpsuits and slam on the brakes and jump out of their cars with their cars running and run over. And I think it's one of the things that I kind of, watching Bill Murray, how he sort of went with it, he kind of, how he reacted to his fans, how he embraced his fans. And for me, it was a real learning experience, because I always felt if I were ever in that position, you really appreciate the people who just, whatever they get from it, who just appreciate you. And so it comes to play when I'm doing one of these things. I don't ever want anyone to feel like, they're not as special as I am, or they're not as welcome as I am, or they don't mean as much as I do, because that's how Bill would do. And it was just, but the crowds are great. People would, just show up at our sets and stand outside in the cold and watch nothing happening. I go, really? Because there ain't nothing going on here, but you appreciate the love for the films.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, your name, please.
Hello, I'm John. Nice to
Hey,
meet you
John.
again.
Yeah, good to see you too.
I have two questions. Has there ever been talks for a Congo 2? And do you collect your own action figures?
You know, I don't, but my wife is here, and we've been together for almost 50 years. I don't remember life before. A long time, but she collects. I don't. I'm not a collector. I don't know where to put stuff, and I'm just like, but it's there's been a few. You know, we had some with we did a movie called Space Hunter. That was they made toys in Congo. They made some, and of course the Ghostbusters stuff. But it's great to see the different variations of Winston. Some of them don't look at all like me, but they send me, now they'll send me a thing saying, okay, this is, what it'll look like, and so for my approval, but I'm like, it kind of looks like Eddie Murphy to me. I'm not feeling it, but
Does your wife
nice.
collect those too, the ones that don't look like you?
Yeah, and we don't, the studio, even though I met some people at Mattel here, who said that they would send some, but they never really include me, you know what I mean? So I have to go out and find, she goes out and buys them. But it's nice, I'm very, that's kind of cool.
Great.
Thank you.
Sorry, I need to adjust this out shorter.
You're good.
Hi,
Yeah.
I met you earlier.
Yes, we did, yeah. Good to see you.
Yeah, I was wondering if I can ask like 2 questions, if that's
Sure.
okay?
Sure.
All right. The first question I have is, it's actually relating to Congo. I went to Ohio to visit my boyfriend and his family, and there was an arcade that had a bunch of pinball machines.
Right.
And you were on 2 of them.
Yeah.
There was a Ghostbuster one, but there was also one for Congo.
Right.
And I saw it, I took a picture of it, and it was signed, but I was just wondering if you knew whose signature this was? I don't know who it was. We were trying to figure out for 30 minutes.
We are watching you. Oh, for Congo, it's no, I really maybe it's the gorillas.
I mean,
Honestly, I'm not sure.
could be.
I don't know. It might be Tim Curry's. I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know either. We were trying
but
to figure
I love that pinball game. Congo is one of the better ones. That really had a lot of fun.
We have a pinball bar here in Providence. I wonder if they've got a Congo
Yeah,
machine.
Congo's right. Of course, the Ghostbusters was good too, but they gave me that machine, and me and my kids would play with it, and it was a lot of fun. And then I had a friend who came over, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I got the pinball." So he started playing, and the score he set was so high.
Oh no.
Nobody wanted to play it anymore. It's like, he just ruined the game for us.
You don't go into somebody's house and put the high score on their
really,
game.
and we're standing there watching, bing, bing, and it's like.
Remember that
please
rule.
behave, Yeah.
You said you had a second question.
Yeah, my second question was, it was actually about the movie Airheads. And both you and Harold were in that movie.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I was just wondering, you also got to work with Chris Farley in that movie. I was just wondering what it was like to work with him in that movie.
Yeah, I love Chris. He was, I considered him a friend, and he was just a great guy. A lot of the guys who came out of the Saturday Night Live, family, even though they never asked me to host. But I'm trying to get up for my personal thing. But Chris was great. He was, he was. I really liked him a lot. It was fun working with him, and he was great.
Thank you. Go for it,
Ready
sir.
to back up. I'm Ray, and I would say, I'm not only avid watcher of Ghostbusters, but I love Modern Family too. I watch it religiously, and I want to know what's your funniest moment that you had on the Modern Family set and the Ghostbusters set out of everything you've done.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure about the funniest moment. Ed O'Neill is a friend, and he's really a great guy. And I did them because I just, wanted to work with him. But And it was never really a lot to do. It was kind of a weird, you know, I kept waiting for a character, but I think I did 3 or 4 of them.
I think the one where you take them out on the boat. And
no, it's, it was, you know, it's always fun to work, and it was a fun show. I really like him a lot. You know, he likes to tell stories. And, I don't remember any funny moments. I mean, I got paid.
Is that steady
Way to
paycheck?
the bank.
That's right. Yeah, check the bank, make sure it's deposited. No, it was great. They're nice people, but I don't. You know, I mean, most of the work isn't like a barrel of laughs. You know, you just sort of go, you wait around, and then. So I wish I had a really funny story to tell you. I don't.
Not even with Ghostbusters doing all those movies?
Well, Ghostbusters, was really stressful. I mean, it's fun now. The most fun is when the movie's over and you're sitting in the theater and you're watching it and you think, oh, that was what was happening. Oh, that was kind of funny. But when you're doing it, it's like, no, it's really cold out here. We shot it in the winter and it's freezing. Maybe I'm just not a funny guy. I don't know. I'm sure it was fun. It must have been fun because I got through it, but I don't remember.
So what you're saying is that the ice rink you're in right now is...
Yeah, it's like, right, you see I got my winter coat here. I'm like, my God, it kept getting colder and colder. And I thought, wow, that's why I never got into hockey. You know, it's on ice. I mean, it's cold. But anyway, I just don't, nothing comes to mind.
Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Oh, sure. Great talking to you.
Are there any mementos from the Ghostbusters films that you snagged and kept and took home?
You know, the studio gets very, very, particular about their stuff. You know, they have and they want you to know it's their props. But, and I kind of respect that because, in the old days, they used to, you just take whatever you want. It's just, you work with it. It's your, your wardrobe or whatever, and then you just take it. Now, of course, they're very, they're not that open about it. But the last day of Ghostbusters, I was packing up to leave, and Harold Ramis asked me if I was going to take my jumpsuit. And I said, oh, geez, I didn't know that we were allowed to take it. He said, Ernie, we're the Ghostbusters. So I took my jumpsuit, and I have all of my jumpsuits from all the different movies. So, and I really feel bad because I lost one, and I thought I lost it in New Jersey. For years I've been saying someone stole my jumpsuit in New Jersey, and then I found it. So apologies to New Jersey because. At least I didn't find it on eBay.
My name is Nicholas.
Go for it.
Well, I seen your movie a lot of times over the years on television.
Oh, good.
What is your memorable scenes of Ghostbusters in the film?
Yeah, probably. When you're working with guys like Bill Murray and Danny and Harold and everybody's, it's kind of hard to find a moment that's yours. So in the second movie, when we did the scene in the train tunnel there, that was kind of a moment that was sort of mine that you can kind of. A lot of times when you're working with people, it is an ensemble thing, and you don't want to upstage or you don't want to feel like you're. So it's very, very important to make sure you're true to the story. But every once in a while you get a moment, like that where you can just sort of. Be stupid by yourself. And
Thank you.
I mean, you were the one that voice calls to in that train, Winston.
Yeah.
And then, poor Winston, then you escape this train, and then you fall and get pulled into the river of slime. Like
That's
the
true.
very next sequence.
Yeah.
This poor guy just couldn't catch a break.
Right, yeah. I was wondering that all through the shooting. So why the hell am I falling in the lake? And how come why is it happening to me, though?
How do you
it's
end
so
up
funny.
in the train scene from Ghostbusters 2?
Yeah, it was just, it's just a moment. You look for those things that'll be funny, and hopefully, the bit works, and yeah,
It's a good scene.
yeah.
Thank
it's
you,
fun.
Nicholas.
It's fun.
You're welcome.
Thank
That's
you.
a good question.
Yeah,
It
it
is.
was a good question.
Go for it. Your name, please.
My name is Scott.
Hey,
And
Scott.
you guest starred on a show called Psych with James Rhode and Dule Hill.
Yeah, I did.
Yep.
Yeah.
How was it like working with them?
I love Dule Hill. He was in a movie I did called Sugar Hill. He was a little kid when we did that, but those guys are great. They're a lot of fun. Psych is, I just had a great time. I was shooting another movie, and when they wanted to do another episode with the dad, because I played Dule's dad, and I said, well, I just had needed a few days, and they cast Keith David, because they said he looked just like me, which I'm like, no, he doesn't. So he has two dads, but fans tell me I'm the funniest.
Okay. And you were saying you weren't funny.
I know, but I don't know what they tell him when they see him. Never believe it. It's like, okay, yeah, sure I was. But I love working on the show. I love those guys, and I don't do a lot of episodic stuff anymore. But it's nice when you work with a company. They've been together for a while, and you sort of step in and get a chance to play with them. I always feel television is sort of the best learning, because you get week after week to kind of work out stuff, but it was fun. I loved the show.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of television, you were on the very first drama episodic thing that HBO did.
Yeah.
You played Warden Leo Glenn on Oz on HBO.
Yeah, I love it. That was Tom Fontana, who did St. Elsewhere, and he also did Homicide. I did an episode of St. Elsewhere, well, it was actually a half season of St. Elsewhere, and when he was getting ready to do Oz, he called me and said, you remember those, we used to talk, have conversations about working together? And I said, oh yeah, I don't remember any of it, but, so he said, I'm doing this show, and I want you to, be the warden, and it was one of the most, what do I say, it was just wasn't fun, but it was one of the best experiences I have. I really loved the cast. There were some people had spent a little time in jail, and but it was just a nice mixture of, but everybody was there 100%, trying to steal the scene, and not thinking about the ensemble thing so much, but it was just a great show to work on, and it was sort of groundbreaking at the time.
Really, yeah.
So I'm really very, very thankful to have worked on it. I didn't like the way the character was killed off, but that's another story. You can't control everything, but yeah, no, there was, and it was a great cast, and a lot of the guys have gone on to do some really, really great work.
I mean, if you haven't seen Oz, it's just this incredible array of some of the most amazing character actors you've ever encountered.
Yeah.
Just one, and talking about people trying to steal a scene. I mean, it's like you get these incredible people.
You kind of have to, you have to fight for your moment, because, it was great, but it was great.
You held your own, Warden. You did okay.
No, this is what I do, so I don't.
Please. Hello, my name is Kendra. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Kendra, nice meeting you.
First question, out of the three main venues that are available to actors, TV, movie, and play, what is the one that you enjoy and prefer the most?
Well, so much of what I do is, okay, let's just say what I enjoy. If I could do only one thing, I would love to do theater, because theater is one of those things where you get to work with a company for 4 or 6 weeks to rehearse, to become, to create this thing. And then when you bring it to the stage, you're never sure what's going to happen. You're in the moment, and it's never, it's like you can do 8 shows a week, but every show is different if you really showing up and paying attention, and it's a happening, and as an audience that's a part of, it's just a great experience. But it doesn't pay any money.
Yep.
So you're having a great experience, but you broke. And so that kind of makes it not the thing you want to do. I mean, you know, if it paid the same, I would just do theater. Television is interesting, but television, you can get into a rhythm where they don't really want your creativity. They just want you to say the lines, do the thing, and so it's a little bit challenging to dig deep and try to come up with a character, try to be something, because so that's, you know, and film is kind of where usually you're working with a group of people, you got a little time, you can bring a lot of something to it, even though you can't control it because there's somebody else editing the film, somebody else, there's a lot of hands that have a part of what you're doing. Your best takes might be thrown out because they like the other person's performance, and so it's just a little hard to control. But yeah, so, but I trained to, when I decided I was going to be an actor, I just wanted to be prepared to do all of it. So whether it's animation, you know, voiceover work, or whether it's theater, whether it's film, whether it's TV, I need a job. And so whatever, and I've always done all of it. Film lasts, that's the nice thing about film, you do it and it plays all over the world. So when I've gone to Africa or Europe or Asia, those films, you know, people see them in little villages in South America someplace. Theater, if you're not in the audience that night, you'll miss all that. So it's a little bit of, yeah, it's kind of, you know. And unfortunately, you can't just do it on your own unless you're producing something. So you have to wait for someone to invite you to play. And that's the difference between a musician. I suppose if you're a musician, you can put on your own show, you can play at a little coffee. You can't do monologues in a cafe, you know, it doesn't play very well. So I don't know, so I just like to work. So whatever, I always say whatever the universe, whatever God presents, I want to be able to do it, and yeah, and try to enjoy it. You know, I have to keep reminding myself to enjoy whatever it is that I'm doing, because sometimes I can get into my stuff, and so I have to just try to keep looking. You try to look for the love as opposed to all the things that you really don't like.
I can definitely relate to that as a teacher.
So yeah, so it takes work sometimes, but.
Your character in Quantum Leap was amazing and just kept getting deeper throughout
thank you. Yeah.
the series.
Thank you. Yeah.
How did you get so deep within that character when that character was very limited to what they could express because of the role he was in?
Yeah, well, I was working with some really good people. And good people always make you work harder. You know what I mean? So it was so little space in there to do something. Raymond Lee was, you know, the lead. He was the guy who did the quantum leaping. So you want to make sure that if you only have a few moments, you show up for those few moments. And so you just always have to be prepared. But I did love working on that character, and yeah, so, but thank you.
Great. So we've got about 10 minutes left. I do want to get a quick question in. We've covered most of the questions submitted online. One of them was, what advice do you have for anyone looking to get into acting?
If you think about acting, my advice is don't. I mean, it's really kind of, I think about all the people I started out acting with, all the people I went to college with, all the people I took those classes and workshops, and not one person of all the people I started with the first 20 years has been able to make a living as an actor. And that says a lot, because I worked with some really talented people. I worked with some people who I thought would be huge. I worked with some people who were really, really good looking and who were a lot funnier than I am. And but if you're still determined after I say don't, because this is what it takes, you kind of got to go, I don't know what, maybe there's no odds, but this is what I do, then that's a calling. And if it's your calling, then I just say prepare, There's a thing in the Bible where the brides, apparently had several brides, they were waiting for the groom. I don't know where the story is in the Bible, those of you who read the Bible, but they're waiting for the groom, and some fall asleep, and some didn't prepare they didn't prepare, but there was one who was really prepared, and when the groom showed up, then she was ready, and that's the way it is with the work. You just gotta do the work with no guarantee that anything's gonna come, but you gotta do the work, and the opportunity will come, but you gotta be, you don't know where or when the day will be, but it will come, and it's your chance, and it's a little late to kind of get it together. So, if you really want to do this or anything in life, then just trust the universe. The universe will guide you. I think we all have a guide. I think it will speak to you if you can quiet yourself enough to listen, if you can believe in yourself enough not to doubt. I became an actor. I didn't know anybody who was an actor or anybody in the business, period. I didn't know anybody who had more than their rent money. I didn't know anybody who, I had 2 kids, but I know the universe knows what the answer is, and that's what you trust, and it will always guide you if you can step out on faith. So that's my advice. But if there's anything else you can do, I thought about being a minister at one point. I went to this minister, and I said I was being called to be a minister, and he said, I want you to go home and think about it. And if you still feel that way tomorrow, come back and we'll start you on this journey. And I went home and I thought about 15 minutes. I thought, I think there's something else I could do. So.
All right, we've got a 5-minute lightning round here, so we're going to go through the rest of the questions.
Okay. Short answers.
So,
yes.
Real quick, in the 2016 film, The Ghostbusters Answer the Call, which is not canon, you appeared at the very end, and, to a lot of us, the film didn't really work that well. What was your opinion of it, especially that, you were only in the very, very end of that film, and I was hoping you'd come up sooner.
Yeah, I'm not happy with any film that I'm only in the very end. I already don't like it. No, but I did like that film, and I thought the ladies who did it were, I'm fans of all theirs. They're very funny, and I'm very happy to have been in it. I feel unfortunate that they tried to reboot it. I've taken some heat for saying that, but really, just make another movie. I mean, really, you're going to redo Ghostbusters? But anyway, that's just me.
And also, were you ever asked to do the voice on the cartoon, The Real Ghostbusters? It went to Arsenio Hall.
Yeah,
for the first couple years.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Arsenio Hall, but this was a time when I needed to pay my rent, and I had kids, and I don't know what happened. But they tell me happened. I was working on another project, but I don't believe that. So I think the director wanted Arsenio Hall, and so it was meant to be his.
Thank you. You may need to tilt that back up again, and maybe. There we go.
Hey, hi.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. My question is about the movie, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Yeah.
How did you prepare for the role of Solomon, and what was it like doing a psychological thriller after having been in Ghostbusters, building that reputation as a comedic actor?
Yeah, well, I've never been, I just believe I can do anything. But that's just me.
I back that.
I think your ego has to be big enough to believe that, I can, every movie out there, I could have done a better job. Of course, it's ridiculous, but that's what I really believe, so I don't. And, but I knew playing the role of Solomon in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, I had to really study and research, and so I spent a lot of time at different places where, people with disabilities live, and I met a lot of them, and I sort of found this character and was able to build the character and from that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, My name is Emily. My question is, so I used to play the game Ghostbusters, the movie. So a lot of us, well, me, consider it like the third movie. So did you enjoy doing the dialogue as well? And in the latest Ghostbusters, the first one, was it a really, amazing moment when all of you kind of came together again, even though sadly Harold had passed?
Yeah. As far as the game, yeah, I think we all thought the movie would never happen. So we put everything into the game, and the game was so successful, I think that really encouraged the studio to go ahead and make another movie. So I love doing the game because I love working, as I keep mentioning. I just want a job, Yes, I just want to work. That's all I want. And as far as getting together again, because honestly didn't think there would be another Ghostbusters, and especially after the ladies Ghostbusters wasn't received as well. The studio was kind of, but when Jason Reitman did Afterlife, and the first day I put on my jumpsuit and I walked on stage and Bill Murray was there and Danny, and I saw Sigourney Weaver and Annie Potts, and this movie's been a part of my life for 40 years. And it was kind of emotional. I kind of, I tend to get a little touchy-feely. Oh, Daddy, oh. Which is kind of weird to some people, but yeah, it was very special.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.
Hi, my name is Ben. Just two quick questions.
Sure.
So I was curious, how much of input do you give to Gil and Jason when it comes to making the movies, especially some of the new ones that are coming out? And secondly, with your character Winston's affinity towards the Ecto-1, but also a lot of the new technology in the most recent movie, is Winston going to put money into fully restoring Ecto-1 and keeping that around as the fifth character, or is Ecto-1 going to get retired?
Well, Jason Reitman and Gil Kenan, the writers and directors of Ghostbusters, they pulled me aside and said, Ernie, any ideas you have, anything, call us anytime at all. We want to hear, we want your suggestions. They have never listened to anything. I swear to God, honestly, I'm like, really? So in Afterlife, when I saw the car and I said, oh, I'm going to take care of you. Right. And then the next movie, the car is it's falling apart. I'm like, what happened to taking care of the car? Right. So they don't care what I have to say. And that's the truth, but they will deny that, but they've never listened to anything.
You heard it here. All right, our very last question.
Yes.
His name is Logan, and go ahead, buddy, ask your question.
It's okay.
Ask it. You don't have to be nervous. You want me to say it? Say it with me.
Yeah.
He wants to know if busted makes you feel good.
Oh, yeah.
That is the perfect last question.
Yes. It is the perfect question. Yeah, busting makes you feel good.
Good question, Logan. All right. Ernie, thank you so much for your time and your candor. Thank you, all of you. Mr. Ernie Hudson.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good. When I came here, like I said, I was kind of feeling that. I was a little, but you guys just lifted my spirits, and thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.